say that there was unrest in Woji community and that I should help call the police. And I think I did call the police at the time. I did call the police control room and even gave the person the number to call the police control room. By Monday, when I came back to work, I realized that the matter was even bigger than I thought it was. And we got to hear that there was some unrest. Youths were protesting because of the killing of a young man. As the news developed, we realized that the young man that was killed in Etche Etche was the younger brother, is the right way to put it, was the younger brother of the former Obiakpo local government chairman, Solomon Etche. Such a sad situation, I should say. And then we started looking at the details of the report, and we got to understand that it had to do with an issue between a landlord and his tenant, and then the tenant called the police, and the police came to arrest the landlord because, according to the story, he had thrown the belongings of the tenant out of his house or out of the building following a dispute. And that was the last time the landlord was seen. The landlord disappeared, according to the story that we have been told. Now, several people have reacted to this story. We'll look at the reactions later. But first, my guest is in and out, so I want to quickly take his views on this one. And what I want him to help me talk about, because he's a human rights lawyer, what I want him to help me look at is the fact where, there is an issue between two Nigerian citizens. You and I are having an issue, and then the police will come into it. And instead of the police being, someone who opposes the law, because that is what the responsibility of the police is, to protect the lives and properties of Nigerians, and also to ensure that Nigerians are not flouting the law, are keeping the law. And that's what I believe they're there to do. However, in this case, the young man who was arrested ended up dead. And according to some statements by the elder brother, some injuries were seen on the body, some parts of the body, which looks like he was beaten, which looks like he was tortured. And if not for the chiefs, according to the story, who drew the attention of the police to the situation and demanded that the police officer reveal where the body of Eugene was, we probably would not have even known. Anyways, let's welcome Eugene Odey, who is a lawyer, a human rights lawyer, on the show as he gives us his professional take on this issue. Welcome, Barrister Odey. It's good to have you.
Good evening, Kalada. Thank you for having me.
All right. So quickly,
good evening, listener.
Quickly, I won't waste your time because I understand you're a very busy person. But let's look at this. First of all, can you run us through? I know you've done this before on my show, but can you run us through what should be the responsibility of the police? I mean, we all assume to know, but let's look at it from a legal point of view.
Well, it's very simple. The police was established primarily for the purposes of maintenance of law and order, for security of life and property of citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is their primary goal. That's their primary objective, and that's the essence of their being established into existence. So anything short of that would be an abuse and a breach of the very essence of the establishment of the Nigerian police force.
And now, in such a situation, okay, fine. Let's even before what cases? Because I know it was treated in the morning crossfire, by another human rights lawyer, and they were talking about where is the jurisdiction of the police, and they said criminal matters and all of that. But yet again, can you run us just summarily, tell us what really, in what cases can the police be called to become a part of it? In what situations?
Well, like my learned friend may have told the audience, the same thing I'm going to also reiterate. The police is established police is not well, sometimes be a thin line between civil actions and criminal actions. In fact, sometimes some civil actions snowball into criminal activities. All right? So in the process of dealing with some civil actions, and in that process, really like a contract between parties, and there's a breach of that contract between parties. At that level, it's still within the realm of a civil conflict between those people. But it goes beyond that point where these two individuals now resort to physical assaults, destruction of property, threats to life, murder, and the likes out of a civil dispute. Of course, the jurisdiction of the police would have been activated, though the foundation, the crux of the matter, was a civil dispute from the onset. So, you see, that's why I said there's sometimes a thin line between a civil dispute and a criminal, a crime, so to speak.
Right.
Sometimes the police is now caught in between to determine whether this matter is right for it to be taken as a criminal matter or is still within the realm of a civil dispute. So you see that the police most times are caught in that mixture.
Now, the reason why I asked that question is because I'm finding it, and that's the reason why I called you on the show for a brief period. I'm finding it difficult to understand whether it is the Nigerian people who abuse the use of the police, or it's the police who likes to abuse its powers as given to it by the Constitution. And why am I saying
it? Is both.
It is both.
It is both.
I'm asking
because
okay,
you realize a situation where, like in this case now, the case in reference now, ordinarily it was supposed to be a landlord and tenant dispute. Okay? And from the feelers I'm hearing, a part of that report you just gave now suggests that the landlord may have taken laws into his hands by throwing the properties of the tenants outside. You see, even though a landlord has the right to a reversionary interest in his property, he has the right to retake his property if the tenant is in of his tenancy obligations.
Okay.
The landlord has the right to take back his property. But there is a procedure that has been laid out in doing that. And that does not include you taking laws into your hands by barging into the tenant house and throwing his properties outside by yourself. The law abhors that. And maybe that's the reason why this fellow called in the Nigerian police to intervene, to keep the peace. All right? Because the truth is that there are conduct likely to cause the breach of the peace. And the criminal code also provides for how to deal with it. It falls within the realm of crime if somebody has committed an act that is likely to cause the breach of the peace. The police can be called in to deal with such situations. That is on the one hand. Of course, two wrongs cannot make the right. So if the police were called in for that purpose and went beyond their powers and decided not to protest this individual as though they were a court of law, as if the person had committed murder, and then you now arrest the person, try the person summarily, and kill the person summarily, that police officer or the police department would have gone beyond their bounds and breached the fundamental right of this individual. So the punishment for conduct likely to cause the breach of the peace is not summary, it's execution. The punishment may just be maybe a reprimand, or maybe some few months or some few years in prison if they prosecute it to a full determination. Otherwise, it's not a capital offense that should warrant the death of that landlord. So for the man to have been killed, so your report suggests that probably this man may have been brutalized and in the process died in the hands of the Nigerian police. That is a different case entirely.
Now, can I ask?
Which begins to sound like murder. Yes, it sounds like murder.
Okay.
Premeditated murder.
Okay.
Whoever was involved in this will be faced the full weight of the law.
All right. Can I ask a question quickly, a very quick one? Now, we've been able to establish certain things, but imagine if the police were to come to arrest me. Maybe they're trying to keep the peace from being breached, or they're trying to maintain law and order, and they come to me, what should be, as an individual, as a citizen, what should be my move? Because if I should resist, then I would have committed another crime, right? So what should be my first move? Am I allowed to call my lawyer at the time? Am I allowed to ask people to...
I've always told Nigerians that once the police has indicated, or sometimes the Nigerian movie doesn't also help. They will say they tend to want to make you insist on your warrant. Of course, sometimes there are some matters where you need to insist on your warrant. But if we know the kind of Nigerian police that we have today, all right, it will be foolhardy for you. Of course, you see them bear AK-47 these days. In those days, you don't see police with AK-47. What they come with is a baton in their hand.
Okay.
But these days, you see them come like military men, as if they are going to war. So in a situation like that, where you have an armed man, whether it's a police officer or it's not a police officer, it's always advisable to cooperate with a man with arms. At least for that moment. Unless you have an opportunity to call a higher authority. If not, it is always advisable, for the sake of your life, to cooperate with any man that is bearing arms and you're at that moment under his control. Otherwise, the person will shoot you.
But barrister,
even if he's eventually arrested and is prosecuted and sentenced, you are gone already.
Barrister, Barrister, the reason why I asked you that question is because this young man has cooperated and now is no longer in the land of the living. And so that's why I'm asking the question. Is there a particular manner or thing that we can do so that the police would know, okay, we have to be careful and play by the book?
It depends on the scenario. It depends on the circumstance. If the circumstance allows you an opportunity to call a higher authority, why not? By all means, you call. There's this number that is out there now that the police has given out. I think they call it their complaint response unit. CRO, they are all everywhere on social media.
Yeah.
So it's for people to do research so that when you find yourself in situations like that, you can actually call the CRO or you call the control room to verify whether these people are actually doing their work as prescribed by law or not. If you have such opportunity, otherwise, for me, I think it's always better to cooperate, especially when these people are bearing arms.
Okay.
If not, if they are, especially those who are on uniform, whether they are on uniform or not, for all you know, some people parade themselves as police, they are policemen.
Okay.
Okay? And situations that they are ordering you and you resist their order and they decide to shoot you, these people may go unnoticed at the end of the day. So it's always better to first be safe. Like now, all right?
Yeah. All right.
He died in the custody of the police.
Yeah.
So it is very easy for you to isolate that police officer who was responsible and deal with that person.
All right.
What if it wasn't a policeman and he decided to kill you on the spot at the local premises and escape, and there won't be any trace? So that's why it's better to always, at that point, cooperate.
All right,
where you find it
Barrister,
difficult to be able to reach out to a higher authority.
Barrister, I would have to let you go at this point. I've got a commercial break, and I understand you have a very busy schedule. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Barrister Eugene Odey, human rights lawyer. Stay tuned. More conversations. Yes, and he said something about Nigerians and the police are a reflection of each other. Do you agree? They reflect each other. I mean, the police is only displaying or portraying what a larger part of the Nigerian society would portray if they were in a place of power, or standing in a place of power. And if you look at it, we complain about police abuse of power, but many a times it is Nigerians who use the police to abuse other Nigerians, or to abuse the human rights of other Nigerians. And this may just have been the situation. The lawyer did point out that, first of all, the disease may not, underline that, may not have gone through the proper channels in ensuring eviction from his house, may not, like I said. And that was probably what brought the police into the situation. But then the police is supposed to be neutral, just like I am, or I try to be on the show, and supposed to be neutral and not take sides and listen to the stories of both parties and ensure that there is no breach of peace, or there is no breakdown of law and order. And if there is, send the matter to court, because the judiciary is the one that should be taking civil matters and even criminal matters, I know, but at first, civil matters should directly go to the judiciary or to the courts. But that may not have been the case. Now, there are many other sides to this conversation that I like to explore. For instance, I like peace, and so I would use the medium anytime I have the opportunity to be on the medium to call for peace. And I'm joining the paramount ruler of Woji community, Eze Mekahunwa, who has cautioned the use of Woji against taking the law into their own hands. He said this in reaction to the protest that was triggered by the killing of Nyebuchi Eke. Now, Eze Mekahunwa condemned the destruction of properties and disturbance of peace in the community and urged the youths to let the police conduct a thorough investigation on the matter. Let's take a listen to the Eze.
As the traditional institution of the community, we are doing our best to ensure that justice is being achieved by the end of this matter. It's not by taking laws into our hands. Let those sponsoring them retrace their steps. For the last time, we are all Woji people. We know ourselves. Let those who are involved retrace their steps. Let their parents talk to them adequately now.
All right, so I would also, call on the people in Woji to let peace reign. I mean, we say this every day. Peace is the path to the development in Woji community. Let peace reign. But let's also listen to the words of the wife of the deceased, now a widow, and let's hear what she has got to say about this.
I need justice from government. Let them help me and get my husband justice. Now I'm a widow with children, so I need justice. Even right now, I'm pregnant for my husband. I need the government to intervene in my husband's case and help me. My husband is a good man. My husband was not a criminal. He died for his rights because the tenant was owing him.
All right, so yet again, I'm hoping that we get to learn if an eviction must be done, then I think we should involve lawyers and involve the court and the judiciary, and then the judiciary will mandate the police or any other security agency to go out there and do the needful. But then again, do you agree that we tend to use the police sometimes to abuse other Nigerians, other citizens like us? How would you, if you were in the shoes, how would you defend yourself? I mean, this is some of the things that I'm thinking of and I'm looking at. I mean, it's a sad situation. What do you even make of the story? This is some of the talking points. But earlier, the 12 o'clock bulletin, it was reported that normal business activities have resumed along the Woji Road. Last night, gunshots were heard in the Woji area of Port Harcourt as some youths who had resumed protests clashed with the police. Now, the youths were seen throwing broken bottles and stones at the police as tires were set on fire on the streets of Woji to protest the death of Eugene, whose body was recovered yesterday after days of disappearance from the custody of the officer in charge of surveillance. It was guarded that Mr. Eugene tenant invited the OC surveillance after he had thrown the tenant's belongings out of his home following a dispute. Mr. Eugene, the landlord, disappeared afterwards. It took the intervention of the Woji Council of Chiefs to draw police attention to the situation and demand that the police officer reveal where he had hidden the body, as Eugene was last seen in his police van. The officer and the tenant were taken into custody afterwards. A protest started on Saturday to demand Eugene's body as youths went on a rampage, blocking the road, damaging some shops and looting. I don't like that last part. I mean, why would you damage someone's shop who's not even a police officer? I'm not saying you should go after police officers, but I mean, it's someone who's not even related to the case. I'm done talking. I want to get your views on this one. 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. Imagine for a second that someone who did not have the connection of pressuring the traditional institution in Woji to come to rescue their loved ones. Would that matter have been swept under the carpet? Could it be that there are matters like this that have been swept under the carpet? That's another angle to look at it from. Like I said, there's so many angles we can look at this from. But I like to get your views, as always. I love to get your views on the issues on the review. I've got Obed. Obed is calling me from Other Judge. Obed, let's get your view. Obed, welcome.
Yes, Kalada, good evening.
Yeah, greetings to you.
Kalada, I totally disagree with your guest. You understand? In as much as police is a reflection of what the society, Nigeria, looks like, but police were bestowed with an honor to be able to maintain law and order. We must take cognizance about it, right? Now, we should tell the police, not every person that wants to use them, that they are going to consent to. In fact, nobody should be able to use the police against each other.
All right.
You understand? Because we have seen the police, even aiding non-state actors to be able to undo some certain individuals. And he spoke about people should be able to cooperate with the police. I also disagree with him. If I cooperate with them, it is when somebody will tell you to open your phone, transfer money from your account to his account. Is it cooperating? So I want to really know. So the truth must be told. We must tell the police to be able to extract the trade in the setting of
all right. Thank you very much. Oh, better go. Thank you. Stand from Gary quickly, please. There's one time.
Everybody is asking for justice. I want to ask a question. The protest led to the destruction of properties. Their shops were looted. Who is going to compensate those people who suffered their property destroyed? Number two, sir. In the course of the conversation from you, he talked about to be even more bad. Some back to the criminal matter. So how come the Nigerian police involving themselves to criminal matters that can lead to this point?
Because we have allowed it. That's where I'm coming with the conversation.
They are not educated enough on the line that work. They cannot recruit every. This recruitment process of people were so huge. Let's say you brought this discussion here. How come people from this part not get any work into the police? And I'm trying to tell you that the recruitment process is flooded. How was it done? For the past year, they make it difficult. People from this side to get access to the recruited. So since over the years, you cannot recruit us. This is the need to be going again. People got discouraged. Usually the politics, people from that side, they just come and talk. They are even begging them. Some cannot even speak English language. They are Nigerian police. So to get to that point to sanitize this is the police. You can get the police right.
All right. Thank you very much, Zion. And listening to Ingeri from Abloma. Ingeri. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Welcome to the show.
Yes.
Okay.
Where they know this, that can never be peace.
Okay.
The average Nigerian policeman is available to be engaged to any sort of thing at any point in time, just because they don't know what being a police officer is. If you have a disagreement with your girlfriend or boyfriend, the Nigerian policeman is to intervene. So they won't stop the policeman from telling the youth that were killed that this is not a human matter. That this is matter to God. That's what the real police policeman could have done. But unfortunately, the Nigerian policeman, they are good men.
All right.
And basically, he knows nothing about being a police officer.
All right.
You can engage him to do any criminal act.
All right, so sorry, I'm gonna let you go. I told to break. My producer is saying I should leave the studio, so there is a commercial break. However, I will talk about this some more. Let's open season after the news at 6. And of course, I would add another topic. I mean, I've seen some of I've seen bits and pieces of the news at 6, and there is a conversation in legislative the last thing I was going to say, I was talking about reviewing the electoral act. We'll talk about this anymore about tomorrow, maybe. But stay tuned. I'll be right back.